Exactly. Our instinct picking up on subtle cues.
Then things get much less subtle. This wiry man gets on, carrying a wicker crate, but it's covered.
Okay.
He insists it's just harmless cargo, and he actually bribes a ramp worker to get it on board. The narrator sees this, regrets not saying anything.
And the gate agent just lets it go.
Yeah, waves him through. You might think, okay, maybe a bit odd, but maybe it's just, how things work sometimes. Until they hear this hissing, a distinct hissing sound coming from the crate. Definitely not chickens or anything normal.
And that's the shift, isn't it? From vague unease to a concrete potential threat. That hissing is the first real clue.
Yeah, the bizarre crashing into the everyday. You can just feel the narrator's anxiety shoot up right there.
Okay, so they're finally in the air. An old plane, lead L-410 rattling as it climbs.
And then, the moment everyone dreads, during takeoff, the crate slides or shifts.
Then they see it.
They see them, thick, patterned scales. The narrator figures it's an anaconda, maybe 10 feet long at least.
10 feet on a plane.
Unbelievable. They try to confront the man who brought it. And his reply, it's just chilling. He says, it's hungry.
It's hungry. Wow.
What does that even suggest to you, that one line?
Well, it completely changes the game, doesn't it? It's not an accident anymore. It's not just careless transport.
Right.
That phrase implies intent. It makes the snake a deliberate threat. And it says something deeply disturbing about the man himself, this total disregard for...
Is it a weapon? Is he just reckless? Or, like you said, something else entirely? The not knowing is awful.
Yeah, the ambiguity makes it so much worse. So they're flying along.
About an hour in, and the impossible happens. The crate. It's empty. And then that feeling of dread becomes real. Something starts slithering down the aisle.
Can you imagine the panic in that confined space?
People scrambling, climbing over seats. Just chaos. And then it gets even worse. The horror focuses on row 2.
This part of the account it's hard to read. Hard to even talk about.
Yeah.
The description of the attack on the infant, it's so fast, so brutal, the mother trying desperately to fight it off, the snake's power.
And the man who brought the snake just watches.
Apparently does nothing, just sits there. It's an incredibly chilling detail. It says so much about him, or maybe the situation's paralysis.
It's pure nightmare fuel playing out right there, and the chaos just ramps up. People are shoving, trying to get away, and then an emergency door light comes on.
Someone's trying to open it, midair.
In total desperation, it seems. Just then, the pilot gets on the intercom. Loss of cabin pressure. They're turning back to Kinshasa.
But the narrator feels it's too late.
Yeah, that sinking feeling. And then the oxygen masks drop.
Okay, standard procedure for pressure loss, right?
Usually.
Yeah.
But the narrator realizes it's not the altitude. The horrifying theory comes up. The anaconda has somehow gotten under the floor and torn through wiring.
Causing system failures.
A whole cascade of them, it seems. It shows how one single bizarre element can just unravel the whole aircraft system.
That's terrifying. So the plane itself is now compromised.
And just when you think it cannot possibly get worse, the cockpit door opens.
Oh, God.
The co-pilot stumbles out, his arm bleeding badly, and he delivers the worst possible news.
Right.
They've lost control. The anaconda, it's in the avionics bay.
The avionics bay, that's catastrophic.
Explain that first. Why is that the point of no return, essentially?
Well, the avionics bay holds all the critical electronics, flight controls, navigation, communication systems.
Yeah.
Basically the plane's brain.
Right.
If that's compromised, especially by something physical like a huge snake tearing things up, the pilots literally can't fly the plane anymore. It goes from an emergency inside the cabin to losing the aircraft itself.
So the final moments, the narrator describes just sheer terror. Planes shaking violently, lights strobing.
People praying, I imagine.
Yes. Someone still trying desperately to open a cabin door. And that heartbreaking image of the baby's mother just collapsing.
And then blackness for the narrator.
Yeah, thrown from the wreckage somehow. Wakes up later, alone in the jungle.
The sole survivor. Out of how many?
21 people on board, he's the only one.
Incredible and horrifying to wake up to that reality.
And the immediate questions must have been overwhelming. Where is everyone? Where is the snake? Where is the man?
Did they find any trace?
The only physical clue mentioned are these long, deep slither tracks in the earth near the crash site.
Chilling. So the snake definitely survived the crash.
Seems so. And the narrator is left with this profound trauma. Nightmares filled with hissing sounds.
Understandable.
And this truly awful realization sinks in The anaconda wasn't just trying to get out, it seemed like it was hunting.
That adds another layer of horror. So let's try and bring this together. The core of it is just almost unbelievable.
Yeah.
Someone deliberately brings a huge, dangerous predator onto a passenger plane? That act directly causes system failures, panic, and ultimately the crash that kills 20 people.
The sheer audacity and the terrible consequences, that's what makes this account so powerful, so disturbing.
And those unanswered questions just hang there, don't they? They really gnaw at you.
Definitely. What was the motive? Why do something so horrific? Was it smuggling gone wrong? Malice? Something else?
And where did he and the snake go? Did they just vanish into the jungle? It's a deeply unsettling thought.
This story delivers a real aha moment, but not in a good way. It's that shock, you know?
Right, it's not just snake on a plane like a movie. It's the terrifying domino effect. How one reckless, bizarre action led to total disaster.
It forces you to think about how fragile things can be, even systems we think are safe.
Absolutely. Even in controlled environments, the potential for something utterly unexpected, something truly dangerous, can be there.
It really does make you think about the safety nets we rely on. So this deep dive into Flight of the Anaconda, it leaves us with a final kind of provocative thought for you to consider. Just think about the hidden dangers that could theoretically exist beneath the surface of ordinary situations. What unexpected threats might be lurking, and how prepared are we really for the truly unimaginable?